Didn't even see the pole he had on. It's pretty slick. Well, we are welcome, guys. Episode 65 of the Mainly Celtics podcast, and the Celtics are your Eastern Conference champs. They're able to pull out 196 victory last night over the Miami Heat. Just, do you have any thoughts about this game? I unfortunately had to listen to it over the radio, so I didn't get a good, quite the visual. I was driving back last night from New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Celtics are going to the finals. It's pretty cool that Tatum won the first ever Larry Bird conference MVP trophy. But it was just a gutsy win. I mean, they were up 8 to 10 points most of the game, and it obviously got really scary at the end. But all in all, it was a good group effort. Smart took a lot of shots, but he played well.
Yeah, they got to a big lead. It was what was the score after the first? It was like 35-17 or 31-17, something like that.
Yeah, they were up like 15 or 17 early.
They got up to a pretty strong start, which was nice to see. Just hoping you could just put them away early. Clearly, they didn't do that. Almost came down to the very end. That would have been an absolutely heartbreaking loss.
I felt like my life was flashing before my eyes, which is an exaggeration, but they were up like 11 with 2 minutes or 3 minutes and just didn't score.
I know. I was starting to get very nervous towards the end. I was like,
then they hit the 3 too.
Yeah. That was huge. Obviously, Tatum and Jaylen Brown played very well. Smart took a lot of shots, like you said, but still played very well. The guy I think I'm most happy for to move on this series is Al Horford.
It's got to be Al.
It's got to be Al. Like, obviously, he's the vet. He's 35 years old right now. I believe he's played in the most playoff games in NBA history before playing in an NBA Finals, or without playing in an NBA Finals.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's at like 141, and it's just like, it's crazy. He hasn't just like locked on to an NBA Finals team with some of the teams he's played on. Obviously, he's playing on those Hawks teams that were very good regular season teams and never really had a star player. Aside from maybe Al. Al was probably their best player on a lot of those teams. But then obviously he played with the Celtics, where he came for a couple of years where he came very close, got to the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe 2 of those years with Al. He played on the Sixers, who obviously that didn't work as well, but still a very talented team with a lot of very talented players. And now being back in Boston, he's finally going to a NBA Finals. And it's kind of cool because it feels like this is hopefully the new school. Hopefully there's a start of a dynasty for the Celtics. Against kind of the old school where you have the Warriors, who have already been an established dynasty with the core of Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. But hopefully this is kind of passing the torch moment from one era to the other. Obviously the Warriors haven't won a title in a few years now. But it'd still be very cool to see, to kind of beat one of those teams that's been kind of, probably the greatest team of the 2010 decade. And hopefully the 2020s is the decade of the Celtics.
Yeah, I definitely agree about Al. Super happy for him. Hearing the players' post-game interviews, you can just tell Al is the definition of a selfless teammate. I think it was Marcus specifically. Marcus and Jaylen saying just the highest praise for Al, how grateful they are to learn from him and how he's just like so professional every day. And I totally believe it. Like re-signing Al was such a great move by Brad.
Well, not re-signing, trading for.
Or trading for.
Yeah.
It was Kemba for Al, right?
Yeah.
And, some people even thought it was kind of just like a salary dump, get a good year out of him, hopefully.
Yeah. I believe
every penny of his contract and more.
Yeah. we're going to have to make a serious decision, I think, next year, but obviously we're not going to talk about this yet. But with him, I was looking back, some people posted the draft grades. I believe they just it was like SI, ESPN, like maybe CBS Sports. They one gave it like a C+, one gave it in terms of themselves, one gave it a B, one gave it a B+. And in hindsight, that was easily an A+ move. This team would be they've been built on the defense, especially Rob being out. They would not have had a chance in these playoffs without Al Horford.
the Tice acquisition, even like obviously he's played only a game here and there, and how much Grant stepped up, but yeah, without Al and Tice back and Grant stepping up, we would have really struggled in the
I
post.
mean, I feel like Tice's really only impact was, I mean, the Brooklyn series. I think we would have won the Brooklyn series either way with or without Tice, but I do think he helped a lot, able to like he was playable in the Brooklyn series.
Yeah.
The last two series, it's been real tough for Tice to really like warrant him getting much playing time. We saw Rob. Rob clearly wasn't very healthy. He was clearly very bothered last night. Didn't have a very typical Rob performance, and he finished with like 2 points and like 3 rebounds, like 14 minutes. And they kind of canned him because it wasn't worth it. Like he just wasn't playing his normal game, and we're gonna need him healthy for the Warriors. Grant, obviously, like you said, stepped up a lot, just not only in this series but in the previous series. And we have a lot of different looks. I do want to have a chance to continue talking about the Heat series a little bit, but it's hard not looking ahead, just kind of thinking about some of the matchups we're going to get to see. But I mean, this series, I really was thinking that the Celtics, with the momentum they had from Game 5, were going to win this in Game 6. Game 6 obviously wasn't a very pretty game, and it was kind of and I thought with Rob being there and Marcus being there and Hero being out once again, the Heat weren't going to have the shot making in order to beat us in Game 6, especially on our home court. Well, the Celtics, I feel like, haven't been very great. I don't know what their record is exactly at home these playoffs, but I feel like it hasn't been too great because we closed out.
They have a better road record than they do home. I think we're 6-2 on the road, or 7-2 maybe now.
Yeah, because I know. Well, the Milwaukee series, I know we won. I think we won 2 on the road,
and then we obviously won 2 against Brooklyn, and we just won 3 against Heat.
Yeah, we must have
won. 7-2 on the road.
Yeah. Is that right? Because we won. You said we won 2 in the last series.
Yep.
So it would have been 2-2 on the road. No, they were 2-1 on the road. No, I guess you're right. I'm not going to do the math right now. I can't think.
I think it is 7-2 on the road.
Yeah, I mean they've been very impressive on the road, and they've been super impressive after losses. Like they're still undefeated this year in the playoffs after a loss. I believe they're I think they're 6-0 now, 7-0, something like that. So I think each one of the Milwaukee games was after a loss, aside from Game 7.
But this Celtics playoff run has really exposed, don't get me wrong, home court advantage is big. But man, it feels like every game the narrative and the probability sways huge in one team's favor. And we were down 3-2 in Milwaukee, and then a Game 7 on the road. Like both of those scenarios seem like they would favor the home teams. And we've just been able to win on the road. It's insane, honestly.
Yeah, I think in Game 6 we were like 8.5-point favorites, and we lose that game. We come back in Game 7.
They were going to cover that too. Obviously, in hindsight.
I thought with everything that was happening, I was like, oh, the momentum. And you saw like Heat fans. Like I saw a lot of Heat fans online, like wherever it was just like, yo, the series is over, not a chance. Heat have no chance to win. Like the series is over. Don't even just like pack it up now.
Saying on the TNT show, like we're gonna play Boston.
Yeah, I mean, he was right. Obviously the Heat didn't just fold. I think that this series was. I mean, this was rough, and I really do hate this playoff format. I really wish they were giving these guys more breaks in between games. It's kind of ridiculous that they're traveling from Boston, Miami, and getting only 1 day's rest in between every game. At least games like really between games 2 and 3, between 4 and 5, and then the remainder of that series. It's just kind of ridiculous. Like both teams were so beat up by the end of it. You had Rob wasn't feeling very well. Smart was listed on the injury report. You had Tyler Hero, who was out for a majority of this.
PJ Tucker was
getting Kyle Lowry. Definitely. I mean, I'm hoping that was Kyle Lowry who's still injured because he did not look good this series at all. He's obviously but
yeah. I like Spoelstra a lot, actually. It's easy to hate him in the series, but his, post-game interview, he almost started to bring up the injuries, and I just loved how he pre-hedged it and was like, I'm gonna bring up our injuries, but the Celtics have them too. This was just a gutsy series by both sides. Like,
Yeah.
he like stopped himself and made like, I just liked how he said it. He's like, both of us were beaten up. Both of us had, key players with injuries playing through it.
Yeah, and it was
I got
tough. That's what you want to see. Like, you want to see. I think the Celtics are the better team either way, but you want to see the best players play.
Yeah,
And
I got a question for you though. It's not Celtics, but do you think Jimmy's last 3 years? I mean, he's been dominant in the playoffs. Do you think that gets him in the Hall of Fame?
I think he's a Hall of Fame player. He didn't make the All NBA team this year, did he? I don't. Let me look up his basketball reference page right now, because I mean, I always look at Reggie Miller. Like, Reggie Miller is obviously a great playoff player. But the thing with Reggie Miller that was kind of surprising, I believe he only made 3 All NBA teams. Like, which a lot of people don't think about. I know Chris Webber's made a bunch more, but Jimmy Butler's been like pretty much a perennial All-Star. He's made several All Defensive teams. He's been on winning teams. He hasn't won a championship. Yeah, I mean, he's 5-time All Defensive team. He's made 4 All NBA teams, 6 All Stars. I would say so.
I would say yes as well, but I think this last few seasons cemented it, whereas before it was, a toss-up, maybe even leaning not.
I mean, I think as long as he makes like 1 or 2 more All-Star games, makes like 1 more All-NBA team, I think he's pretty much a shoo-in. But yeah, he's one of those guys, like, I have a lot of those. He was kind of in that category. I know I've talked about with like Blake Griffin a lot. Where Blake Griffin's a really weird one too. But Jimmy Butler was in that conversation. Where it's like, okay, will he? Won't he be a Hall of Famer? Like, he's probably one of those guys borderline. But even in how old is he? He's always older than I think he is, because I believe he was a 4-year guy. Yeah, he's 30. He's about 33 years old. He's 32 right now. But as long as he probably makes like 1 more All-Star team, I think he's probably in either way. But I just think that would probably cement it. He's been the best player on a team that's been to the finals. He's taken this Miami Heat team to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, twice now. He's just a very solid player. Like, I really respect Jimmy Butler. Obviously, I don't like how he does things a lot of times, like, say what happened in Minnesota, like kind of forcing his way out. But in a lot of situations, he was kind of right, especially in Philly. Like, he was right there. He was right to be pissed off at Philly. Like, they clearly made the wrong decision choosing Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, because they wanted Ben to have control of the offense, and Jimmy Butler clearly like kind of isolated him out of the offense when he was playing during those playoffs a few years ago. And Jimmy Butler's right. Like, Jimmy Butler's like, I'm that dude. Like, you can win a championship. I think you can win a championship with Jimmy Butler. Maybe not as your best player. I think borderline, but I think as your second best player, you can definitely win a championship with Jimmy Butler.
I agree, and he's one of those guys that's willing to be the second. Like, he was willing to let it be Embiid's team. It was offense and, like you said, Simmons.
No, he loves Embiid. Like, he was ready to be that number 2. He's like, I want to be the playmaker for him. Like, I want to be the guy that's initiating the offense. But I don't know. It's that clear. I mean, I'm glad Philly made the wrong decision. It makes me happy to see Philly completely continue to fumble the process. But I think this Heat team is going to continue to be competitive. I think they're going to have to maybe make a decision with Kyle Lowry, try and get a third player in there. Because, I mean, as good as Lowry was for a large part of the season, he's only getting older, and I think these injuries are going to continue to pile up. He's usually a very durable guy, but I think he's probably getting to the point in his career where he's just going to be, his body's going to start to deteriorate on him a little bit.
Well, let's look forward to the Warriors series a little.
Yes. So my first thought was like, wow, the Celtics really match up really well with the Warriors. But then I looked at the other side and I was like, well, the Warriors really match up really well with the Celtics defensively too. Obviously, I think Rob being healthy is going to be a huge if in this series. But I think they're not going to really beat us. They're not a team that's going to be really killing us from the paint. I would like to see where they rank as far as points in the paint among NBA teams, because they're not going to be a team that really kills you. Clearly, they're a great jump shooting team. They've been built around the ability to shoot the 3. They definitely have guys that can penetrate. But you just think of guys like they have a lot of really good defenders. You saw Andrew Wiggins step up and really guard Luka Doncic very well. I think he's going to be able to do the same thing. To whether he's matched up on Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum during the series, I think he's probably matched up on Tatum for a majority of the series. You have Klay Thompson, who's not the defender he once was. He's still probably I'd probably still consider him at least an average, to above average
Probably
defender.
above average, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and then you have Draymond. Draymond can definitely play on Jason Tatum. He definitely can play on guard Robert Williams. He definitely can guard Al Horford. Steph's never been a great defender, but he's at least average. Like, he's not someone you can really pick on too much. I mean, you can pick on in mismatches, but he's a fine enough defender, and they're a good enough defensive team where they're going to be able to defend. They have Otto Porter on their bench as well. I don't know if he's going to be healthy for the series. I know he was kind of in and out. This rest might have been able to help get him back healthy, but he's another guy you can throw on Jason Tatum. And from the other side, like, obviously we have Smart and Derek White for Steph. We have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum for guys like Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins. Poole. Same thing. Derek White, Marcus Smart for Jordan Poole. I'm not too worried about Draymond offensively, if I'm being honest, but
I mean, it's the best. It's the best two defensive teams. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah. Were they really number 2 in defense this year?
I think I saw something. I think I saw something.
Oh yeah, I think they were.
We were literally tied on one of the metrics.
Because they were leading for a while. Like, Draymond was going to be a shoo-in for Depoy if he stayed healthy, but he wasn't able to do that. And I'm just going to correct myself right now. The Warriors are 9th in percentage of points scored in the paint, so they are a team that can definitely penetrate and score a lot of points in the paint. Definitely not what you think of initially when you think of the Warriors. But I think that leads to my point how much we're going to need Rob. Both us and the Warriors can go big or go small. So I think we're going to see a lot of different looks, a lot of different lineups from both sides. It's going to be very interesting to see some of the matchups during the series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think historically we match up in terms of the last 5 years. We've played the Warriors well. I know we've won on the road a few times in the last few seasons. I remember we busted their home winning streak, the 73-9 year. And I don't think they'd lost a home game all year, and we came in and beat them. So I think it's going to be another back and forth series. I see us splitting the first 2 games and then maybe doing the same thing at home and it being down to a 3-game series again.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Like, this is not a team I want to play. Like, this is just a very complete team. And we kind of talked about, like, I think the Warriors and the Suns were the 2 best the teams I was most afraid of out west because of how complete they are. Like I said, they can go big, they can go small. They could put Draymond Green at center, go small, really push the pace. They have a guy that kind of like similar how when we put Al Horford at center. They can throw lineups there where they can have 5 guys who can handle the ball. They can go big. They can put Kevon Looney in there. Kevon Looney absolutely dominated some matchups in the previous series, being able to rip off like 20 boards. Like, they have a lot of quality players. They obviously have the pool party lineup, which is a great offensive lineup, a lot of spacing, a lot of shooting. We can do something similar when we throw Peyton Pritchard in there with all of our shooters with Al running center. Not quite maybe to that effect, but like, we're going to be able to see a lot of different lineups, a lot of creative lineups. And obviously I think we have 2 great coaches in Steve Kerr, and Ime Udoka he's one of the best of them. I think probably Spo is probably the best coach in the league. Just based on what he does year in and year out. But I think Ime was what he's shown us the second half of the year. He's definitely someone I consider one of the top coaches in the NBA right now.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't argue with putting Spo at number 1. And in no order, my 3 would probably be Spo, Kerr, and Ime. So it's going to be a good battle. We'll see a lot of adjustments. It'll be fun. It's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics and the Warriors, of course, played twice during the regular season. They split the season series 1-1. The Celtics had a plus 7.8 net rating against them. Let's see what that equals out to the differential. But no, I mean, it's a small sample size, but
the Warriors is really just a perfect, end to this gauntlet of a playoffs run they've had. Like, yeah, it's the toughest team, but it would be the sweetest to beat. Like, if we can pull this off, like you said, it starts feeling like, let's try to make this into a dynasty. Will start becoming the expectation.
I know someone was talking about it. It's like if the Warriors win the series, if it's, I think someone's like, "What's your hot take from this series?" And I think one person said, "Well, if Steph wins Finals MVP, I think you have to start putting him in the conversation with Braun for one of the best players of all time." And then it's like, if the Celtics win, I think you have to say that you have to consider Tatum's run to these finals and through these finals as a tougher run than LeBron's ever had. Because I mean, you think about it, like peak of their powers, he's facing Kevin Durant, many people consider one of the top 3 players in the NBA. Beat Giannis, who many consider the best player in the NBA. I mean, some people consider Durant the best player in the NBA. Then you have Jimmy Butler with this Heat team. Jimmy Butler, I think, is
Heat team. Yeah.
Yeah, number 1 seed in the East. You have Jimmy Butler, who's a top 10 player. You have Bam Adebayo, who's probably a top 25 player in the NBA right now. You beat a team of guys of veteran players. Like, this is no slouch. And then you play the Warriors in the part of their dynasty, who LeBron was only able to get 1 ring off of. So I think I like both those narratives. That was very cool, and I was like, oh, don't let me get that one started with a Jason Tatum take.
Yeah, I guess it'll be some consolation to say Steph's better than LeBron and have an argument, but I like our odds. I really do. I think we're winning it.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. Like, I felt a lot more comfortable, obviously, with the Heat series, with the Bucks series, even though those both won 7 games, because I was like, with the Heat, I just think we were a better team than the Heat. With the Bucks, I was like, with Middleton out, I think I may have said it before the series. At least I thought it, if I didn't get it out on the airwaves. But I was like, I think the Bucks are the team I'm most afraid of in these NBA playoffs. Like, I think they're the better team. I think a fully healthy Bucks team was probably better than us, but they weren't healthy, and that's just how the cards fall. They didn't have Middleton, and I
don't think Middleton back would have just meant we lost for sure. But you're right; it's a different series.
Yeah, I mean, just coming into it, I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm still scared of the Bucks. Like, they're the defending NBA champions. I don't think any player in the league is better than Giannis. Chris Middleton seems to kill us every time we play him. Drew Holiday's no slouch himself. So I thought a lot of combination of things. I was like, really didn't love our matchup if we were to face the Bucks fully healthy, but we didn't. The Heat, I felt really confident with, because I was like, I just think we're better than the Heat. The Nets, same thing. I was like, the Nets didn't have these guys. The Warriors is just like very good team. We obviously haven't played them a lot because they're in the West. They obviously have the experience. They have all the veterans that know how to do it. I hope the moment doesn't get too big for some of our young stars. But, I mean, I think this is going to be a really competitive. I'd be very surprised if this series went less than 6 games on either side, just for the fact that I think, like I was talking about earlier, I just think that both teams match up very well against each other. I think this is going to be a dogfight of a series.
I agree. Like I said, I think it's going 7, and we're going to have to win it on the road. That's just my prediction. Of course, I hope
that'd be very cool. I'm for sure. I'm looking at the season. I believe Game 5's on Monday the 13th, June 13th, which is my last day of school. So if that's the case, then it's like sick. As long as they don't sweep, which I don't think there's any way there's a sweep here. Then that means I'll probably be able to go down to the parade, which would be very cool. I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I'll probably have to choose between going to a game or the parade, but I'll probably just go to a game. I think Zane and I are going to go to Game 3, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be fun. You said Game 3?
Yeah.
In San Francisco. Oh wait, no, Game 3 is not. Awesome. My mind is not working today. Yeah, Game 1 I believe is on Thursday at 9 p.m., which obviously sucks. Like I said, not a fan of that.
No.
I just don't get it. Like, those 8:30 games are long enough, especially like when you think about it. 8:30 means 9, so 9 is going to be 9:30, and all the commercials that run through the NBA Finals, like, these games aren't going to go over until 12:30 Eastern time.
I know it's obviously the West Coast viewers, but it's annoying, especially when it's specifically an East series. It's like, come on, we got Miami and Boston. We're both in the same time zone. Like,
well, no, I'm talking about with the next. Yeah, I mean, it was annoying this.
No,
series.
I know. What I'm just saying.
I mean, I stayed up for game 6 and 7, with the 8:30 games, and they were getting over at 11:30 at night, which is just brutal from waking up at like 3:30 in the morning every day. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with a dog. But yeah, it's the 9 o'clock games. They're not going to get over till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be tough. I might just record them and watch them when I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Which really sucks, but it's just like I can't stay up that late and then go to work and then turn around and wake up at 3:30 in the morning and go to work. Like that's just a long day for me.
So long.
I'm usually in bed on nights they don't have games. I'm usually in bed by 8:30 and like asleep by 9. So that's a big difference.
All right.
Well, do you have any other takes? Any other exciting things happening?
Not really.
We haven't talked to you since you graduated.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo. Now a business owner, correct?
Yep. So first 2 weeks into that, gone pretty good.
Yeah. So if you need pest control in the greater Jacksonville, North Carolina area, then make sure to hit up Nolan.
I'd be damned if we had a viewer out here.
No, I mean, we're getting up there. We're starting to get like close to like 30. I think our average right now, unless we've dropped a little bit, which we might have. I've been kind of slacking on the socials, but I think we were close to like so about 25 or so per episode. It's pretty good. Maybe we'll have someone in the Jacksonville, North Carolina area, but
maybe the playoff success will drive the numbers up.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for a long season. People want to continue watching the Celtics. The worst thing that's going to happen is when the summer comes. The summer episodes are tough. No one really wants to hear about the Celtics basketball when the only news is rumors. Yeah. When it's just like you trade rumors or we signed Enes Kanter or like that was what it was. Some episodes were like, oh, well, we signed Enes Kanter. What are our thoughts? I guess he's an okay guy in the locker room. I don't know.
Do we still have Yam Madar overseas?
Yep, we still have Jan. We still have Bagarin that still are supposed to come over next year. I don't know where they're going to fit in. We've talked about kind of summer. Yeah, we have a lot of summer stuff to talk about. We have pretty much – I think we have literally all of our guys under contract this next year. I believe Grant, this was his third year. Yeah, his first year was a bubble year. So we're going to have to start talking about Grant extensions. But right? Yeah, his first year was a bubble, then last year, then this year. Okay. So Grant and Pritchard, we're going to have to talk about resigning.
And then I believe Al's contract this series
is up at the end of next year.
Implications. Yeah, but I guess it's like 6
I don't think
is guaranteed, but it's like we were going to give it to him anyway, so.
It's one of those things where, like, for most of this year, I was like, oh, we'll just probably trade him this all. Like, he's going to build up a stock. We'll trade him for maybe a younger guy. It's like, I don't know if we can trade him now. Like, he's been so clutch, and, like, obviously he's only going to get worse with age. But, like, we might just ride it out one more year with Al and try and figure something out a year later. I mean, it kind of stinks, but it's like, now that we're this close, it's really hard to, like, okay, let's probably during these playoffs, I'd say he's probably our third or fourth most important player during these playoffs. I don't know where you put him or Smart. But just being like, yeah, let's just trade him away for a piece. And like I don't think a lot of teams will be like giving us this like premium package for him because of his age, because of that contract number, even a single year. So I just think like we're just going to probably
keep him.
We might just run it back with the core and be like, you know what, we have a core of 8 guys, and we're going to be able to bring back these same 8 guys. Maybe get one guy for an MLE, which we can talk about this. We'll table this for later because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of off-season stuff to talk about. Don't want to save that for then. But like we said, game 1, Thursday, 9 p.m. So that will be exciting. And we will see you guys next week, I believe. So I'm guessing game 2 is on Sunday or Saturday.
I think it's just 2 every other day.
They're going to do that to us. So what's Sunday? Sunday's the 5th. Yep, game 2 at 8. No, it's on Sunday. So
okay, we
might have to record Monday morning because I really don't want to record before game 2. So maybe we'll do another Tuesday. This one's going to be out. It's going to be out when you're listening to this on Monday. we might have to record a Monday evening one and just post it then, because I want to make sure we have two games worth of thoughts out in the airwaves. Okay, well, see you next week.